Hello, Instagram family. Um, I am bringing on the lovely Mishara Winston. Let me make sure I could do this. Oh, here we go. Okay, hopefully she'll be joining us soon. Today is a pretty auspicious day, like 2/22/22, or for me in Mexico 22/2/22, all the twos. And oh, hello, Mishara. Okay. Oh no, it says that she's not able to join. Oh, hi. I was like, this has not happened before. Hello, Mishara. Welcome. I was getting an error message like, Mishara cannot join.
I was just sitting here waiting, enjoying 222, like you said. And then I thought to myself, have I ever joined? Have I ever? I was like, do I know how to join this? But here I am. I
You
made
made
it.
it. Yay. Oh, it is so good to have you here. I realized
Thank
maybe we
you.
we should have talked about that.
But we made it, so it's fine.
We're here.
We listened to our bodies, and it all came together.
We just trusted. It's the 220, all the two energy.
Exactly. Exactly.
I would love to share a little of your beautiful bio, and then we can just get
Okay.
into it so that anyone
Okay.
who's joining us knows a little bit about who you are.
Yeah.
So, Mishara is a former recreation and adventure therapist. Even that sounds very exciting to me. Who is passionate about the trauma healing benefits of play, which I love. A self-proclaimed play historian and culture healthcare nerd. She amplifies patterns of community, leisure, recreation history, comparing them to current mental wellness needs. In her work, she helps communities celebrate the mental health care systems within their own cultures, yes to that, and healthcare professionals rejuvenate their own lives. So very needed. She is currently curating an archive of Black, Brown, and Indigenous play history called Thrive, and accepting applications for the spring cohort of healthcare executives called CRAVE. Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Um, I just wanted to lead in. So this series, I've been calling. Well, I started with Sensual Sovereignty, which I describe as embodied love, liberation, and the license to expand the expression of our true essence. And then my first guest, Cosmos, had in her bio that she likes to think outside the box, to smash the box and burn the box. So this is all what's coming through, because when we can expand, when we can continue to expand, we expand out of boxes and
Yeah.
we can leave them.
Yeah. And we've both done that.
And we
And
both done
and
that.
in my case, am leading people. Like, there are so many ways to have mental wellness. Like, you don't have to be in that box.
Yes. I would love to hear from you because just in your bio and just in knowing you, I know there have been many boxes that you've left, that you've grown out of, expanded out of. What, and now in your life, like what resonates the most about burning boxes? Like, was there a pivotal box or is there something you're leaning into now that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So I'm happy to talk about the now, but I think I should also talk about the pivotal, the initial, to get us there. For myself, the initial box was growing up in the environment that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stress and also trauma in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first box that I feel like I burned and left was just the box of going outside, like leaving the house, leaving the literal box of four walls and saying, I'm stressed. This is little me at 5. I'm stressed. I can't go on like this. I'm going outside to play. Now, that didn't mean that I just had siblings or friends available because that wasn't my experience at that point. That came a little later, but it was first just listening to my own body and saying, I'm led to the color green. You see all of the jungle behind me. I'm led to the color green. I'm led to fresh air and sunlight. I'm led to that. So the first box was leaving the house, leaving what later became the office during lunch breaks, leaving the idea that therapy needs to happen inside of a building. Says who? Why? Leaving the indoors and saying, I like being in natural sunlight, and recognizing later when I got like the fancy academic words, oh, it's because it's regulating my nervous system because trees are good for anxiety.
Imagine that. Yes.
But that first box was just saying, everybody is trying to cope and they're doing the best they can. And I'm still stressed as little Mishara. And I'm going to go on ahead and go outside because I want to. And so learning how to listen to our bodies when they have a desire.
Yeah.
And doing things because we want to,
Yeah.
when we don't have the academic language, when we don't have the, this is regulating my nervous system, according to Michael Glass, who later coins the term adventure therapy. Like, before all of that, it's just, what does your body want to do? How about we just do it?
Yeah.
And instead of being like, but why? Where's the theory? So I think that was little me burning that first box and saying, I want comfort and care.
Yes.
And I think I want to be outside to get it.
Yes.
And that led all of my future work, was just saying, I don't know why it works, but I feel good when I'm outside. I'm going outside.
Right. I have to take a moment here to honor and celebrate little Mishara, who just knew. How did she know she just knew? And that first step, stepping out and going into to play, going to fresh air, going towards green, how that has guided you. that
Yeah. So I think in my work now, and I'm happy to get into that, but at the core of it is, it's not that I'm just such a genius and that I have all the answers. It's I support people in noticing the times that they listen to their own bodies, and that the tribes within their cultures and the people on their block and the people in their community listen to their own bodies to get together and have a really good time, and honoring that was mental wellness genius.
Yeah.
That right there. And then for folks who have gotten stuck and they're like, I don't feel like I listen to my cravings, listen to my desires, and I don't feel like I have anything in my personal life to celebrate. I help them go back to themselves through play and pleasure and leisure recreation, without the pressure to get it right, be perfect, perform, joy for Instagram. But instead, going back to authentic play, because I later realized through my learning, through the work I just kept doing, even though I didn't know why, I just enjoyed it and other people seemed to enjoy it. But later I learned that it's because play sends a signal to the body that the person is safe. And so even when we have experienced, unspeakable traumas, even when our cultural groups, our gender groups, our class groups, on and on it goes, our orientations, even when our groups that we didn't even choose, we're just living our lives, are under systematic and constant oppression or systematic and chronic work stress, because I work with cultural groups, but then I also work with exhausted professionals in healthcare. Whatever it is that's pushing you down into nothing, it feels like, recognizing that we can go back to ourselves. We can listen to our bodies. We've already done it before, reminding people and showing them, here's where you already did it. Let me celebrate that.
Yes.
And let's get you in the regular practice of noticing and congratulating and celebrating yourself for how you're already doing it. And so when that play sends that message to the body that the person is safe, suddenly they can feel their full emotional range. Mm-hmm. Suddenly they have access to more than I'm tired, I'm sad, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. But, wonder, curiosity, anticipation, finding out that the unexpected is not dangerous. The unexpected is not dangerous. Unpredictable doesn't mean danger. Mm-hmm. It might just mean, oh, there's a waterfall. Who would have thought? Oh, there's a pretty, thing outside. And that is safe and we can do that together. That's my work now. But it started with that original box, me being like, I'm going outside. It's stressful in here and I can't take it.
I love it. And what I'm hearing with how you're describing your work and what you do is that you, in your work, are helping people out of boxes that they have found themselves in that might be painful, that are stressful, that are burning them out, that are with the way that you're guiding them through play or into a state of play. It just sounds like you got yourself out of the house and now you're
I'm telling you, when you come outside and play or, knocking on the door, can somebody come out and play? And then I'm looking at adult you are you willing? Are you willing to come out and play? Are you willing to celebrate the times you already have been out to play? And people get to have choice. And I think that really matters because of the extreme and chronic stress that we experience. In trauma, there is no choice. So whatever your nervous system does to cope, whether it's fight or it's flight or it's freeze or it's fawn, there's no shame in that because you don't get choice. But the opposite of surviving is thriving. And when you're thriving, you get to have choice. So asking people, hey, you want to come out and play? You want to return back to those times where you already knew how to play? That's the work now. And when you say the box is helping people get out, I think one box that I see Black, brown, and Indigenous to the land globally, because everybody's Indigenous to somewhere, folks in is I hear folks saying, oh, brown folks don't do therapy. Black folks don't do therapy. And I challenge that. Because I'm like, who told us that? What box is that? Because I'm pretty sure in our cultural traditions, we've had mental wellness care and systems since, time began. Yes. So sometimes folks aren't willing to do the European psychology or the European American version of mental wellness. That doesn't mean they're not doing mental wellness. And it doesn't mean they haven't been doing it since the tribe began. So sometimes the boxes are those limiting ideas that oh, my people are just so traumatized and we're so oppressed and we got nothing but generational trauma. And I'm looking in my new work, building this archive of proof that we've been playing. I'm looking, sorry, there's parrots and birds behind me.
You're in nature, or it's right
I
around
am in, I am in the, I am in it. But like saying like, no, we've been doing it. So let's celebrate how we've been doing it. And then with those laborers for community, those healthcare professionals, those healing professionals saying like, I notice, your work is everywhere. You're all over billboards, but your personal life is what people come knocking on my door for. Because they say, yeah, I'm famous and I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. I'm effing tired. My marriage is in shambles.
Yes.
My family life, my hobby. What hobbies? So pulling people out of that box where they have to be like perfect on the internet or perfect in the workplace,
Yeah.
but they get home and all they can do is recover from the job because where's the play? Where's the pleasure? Where's the personal life? Where's the rejuvenation? So helping people to like get back to that and know that's okay. That's better than okay. Like that's healing. That's mental wellness. That counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like so many boxes and so many ways to help people that all kind of stem from your own experience in the beginning. And what are you, tell us a little bit about your work now, or what your this new endeavor that's coming for you.
Absolutely. So it's twofold. So first, I'm going to talk about Tribe Thrive, and then I'm going to talk about Crave.
Okay.
So Tribe Thrive is basically, I'm a person who recognizes patterns and systems and cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just noticed in my younger years that there was something about going outside that was helpful. I didn't know what it was. As time went on, I was like, I kept finding myself in situations with folks that had deep trauma, such as, like I did as well. And I'd be like, I don't have the solutions. I don't know what things to tell you, but I know I'll go outside and do recreation with you. And in those spaces, people kept being like, ooh, I feel comfortable. I feel vulnerable. I feel good. I feel safe. I want to share more. I want to heal. I want to learn new skills. And I was like, what is that? That led me to the study of recreation and adventure therapy. And I did that, but I've always done it for groups.
Okay.
So I started noticing historically, I was like, I think people always gathered together. I think they always gathered together around fires and around kitchen tables and around fish fries and, I don't know, dice games. I think we always gathered across Black, Brown, and Indigenous cultures. I think we always gathered. I think we always played. I think when we gathered, we were able to say, well, so-and-so is grieving the loss of a child, so we're going to do group grieving. And so doesn't have enough food, so we're going to come together and we're going to put extra on their plate. And we're going to get together to have a good time, not just to work and to struggle and to think, but we're going to get together to play and dance and hit these drums. And I think when people gathered, they played. And when they played, they could feel. Because I know that play opens us up because we finally feel safe, even in the midst of chronic personal and communal struggle, we feel safe to feel.
Yes.
And I think when people get access to that emotional range, they get together and they heal. So I think it literally is this system: gather, play, feel equals heal. And I named that Tribe Thrive. So Tribe Thrive in my current work is this archive. It is historical and it is global. It is current and it like informs the future. And it is snapshots, sound clips, and storytelling of our culture keepers of all the times we played. It's people thinking in their own memory, wait a minute, my family gets together and does that. My block does that. My family of choice, my crew, my squad, my gang, my cultural tribe. When we get together and feel safe, we have a good time. We do double dutch, we play checkers, we get on the spades table,
Yes.
we do all sorts of things.
Mhm.
We play, and when we're there, we tend to go off into the kitchen or onto the porch to smoke, and we tend to be like, so how are you really? What's going on with you? How are your kids? What about that new job? What's
Mhm.
going on with that relationship? I noticed there's tension. Do you need help? We
Mhm.
check on each other and we let ourselves get checked on. And that is a
Mhm.
mental health care system. That is a communal mental health care system.
Yes, it
So
is.
Tribe Thrive honors the communal mental health care system.
Yeah.
And that archive is available on Patreon. That's what I'm building. I'm interviewing folks now. I'm going through historical archives now of those groups, and that will be, shown on Instagram and on social media. But the in depth and all my writing around
Yeah.
that is on Patreon.
Oh,
With that, the second thing you're like, okay, so I said there was two parts. So here's the
yeah.
second part.
Here's the
I
second
think
part.
within that model, I think our healers weren't exhausted because I think community was taking care of community. I think we had so many supports, that village network, that
Mhm.
whole block, whole tribe,
Mhm.
even in times of enslavement, people have tried to take care of each other, even when their families have been, you know, all divided, and just the trauma has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, I think that people tried to take care of each other. And because of that, healers weren't the first point of contact for everything. I don't think they were running out of therapists the
Yeah.
way we're running out of Black and Brown and Indigenous therapists
Yes.
and people that are willing to be trained in European models.
Mhm.
Um, and so they just don't reflect their culture. And so, in a model that is not individual only, or you have to get sick first,
Right.
or nobody knows how to do it, you got to go to the wise and, well degreed healthcare professional. In a model that says, no, this is communal, everybody knows how to do it, everyone takes care of each other. And when there is a specific issue that we need more help with,
Right.
we can go to the village healer, the village wisdom knower when it comes to health, that
Right.
knows how to help a body and help a mind. I think what happens in that is that healers aren't exhausted because they're not overrun, and because they're not expected to be perfect. I think they get taken care of by the community because they're
Yeah.
seen as members of the community, not wise people on a pedestal, but
Right.
people who have their own marriages that are falling apart,
Mhm.
people who have their own children who are sick, people who
Mhm.
need community, just like community needs and appreciates them. And
Mhm.
so the second thing that I'm doing within the Tribe Thrive model is called
Mhm.
CRAVE. And it is an opportunity for, through pleasure and play, healers to get to be human beings and get support and care and get to receive instead of being the constant givers. It is an opportunity where healers get to tap back into their cravings, their
Mhm.
desires, their dreams for their personal lives. And those desires are just as important as their schedules and their agenda books and their planners,
Yes.
and they're constantly being on call for everything under creation. And so Crave is the second thing that I am doing. It is a group coaching cohort. The spring session starts March 7th, and it is a choose your own adventure, follow your own body
Yeah.
program for healthcare executives, healthcare professionals,
Mhm.
laborers in community who are like, wait a minute, I am a person. I'm not just
There's
the
more
hero
to
for the
me.
whole block. There's more to me than what I can do for everyone.
Yeah.
I get to have my full personhood. And so for folks who are
Mhm.
like, I'm kind of losing that, or I have a dream in my personhood that I'm not even tapping into because I'm so busy, ran ragged, trying to keep
Mhm.
everything and everyone else afloat. For those
Mm-hmm.
folks who are like, I'm effing tired, CRAVE is for them because it's a lot of listening to your body,
Yes.
engaging with play and pleasure, no pressure, no perfection, no performance. I don't care how many degrees you have or how many achievements. I care about how you doing and how you feeling and how can we add a lot of pleasure and play and rejuvenation to that personal life, which then does translate into professional life because then you end up with healers that are juicy instead of
Yes.
drained and dry, strained and like raisins. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so dry.
They have a full tank. They have
Exactly. And it's
full
getting
energy.
filled every single day. This is not like we're going to do a retreat and then you go back to your same stressful life.
Yeah.
This is what techniques can we use so that when you're not connected to Mishara or not connected to that exact job or this exact place,
Mm-hmm.
you're still using the techniques. You still got a community. We're still here. You got it. So that's my current work.
That is incredible. All of it. But what I've really, it just hit, it just landed for me. It just really hit home because mm, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I could have really used the crave. I was very burnt. I was just heading on a path of burnout and more burnout. So I'm so just so grateful you're doing this work. I want to like share it with so many people that I know that are still working in um,
Yeah.
healthcare and all these things because it's so important. It's not
Yeah.
only. I mean, I could only speak to medical education because I did that, became a psychiatrist. That's what I know. But what I realized as I was in it and then stepping slowly out of it, bit by bit, is that it wasn't a part, as we were learning how to care for others, it wasn't a part of the training in any way or in any of the like education or the learning that we were doing of how to do what you're sharing with people how to do. We didn't learn how to continue to nurture ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to keep that, to stay juicy, as you said. I love that. I love the word, that word juicy. But it was a separate thing. It was like, here, this is how you what you do to try to help people, how to take care of them. And there was a lot of burden on
Yeah.
the provider.
Yeah.
Um, what you're describing about how like Indigenous communities or just communities have been in time to
Mhm.
so that the burden doesn't all fall on that one person or the few people who are in those
Right. And then you get to
dedicated.
be with people instead of doing things for, you get to
Mhm.
be with them and you get to be a receiver reciprocally. You get to be in healthy interaction with
Yeah,
the people in your lives. They're not just deeming you like you're the local doctor, you're the local surgeon. Tell me about my this, tell me about my that. Sometimes healthcare professionals are looking for friends
yeah,
and people to go, have a meal with, enjoy nourishment with, have pleasure with.
yeah.
And they meet someone and it's like, oh, you connected with me because you wanted a service. You connected
Mhm.
with me because you wanted to pick my brain. You
Mhm.
connected with me because you're inspired by me. You don't
Mhm.
actually want to be my friend. And
Mhm.
so I think that within the current model,
Mhm.
the expectation is that healers are separate
Mhm.
and that they are on a different social pedestal. And
Mhm.
separate in this case equals isolation. It equals healthcare executives that are afraid to go to therapy. It
Yeah.
equals healthcare workers who are afraid to get healthcare. It
Mhm.
equals loneliness. It equals, for the folks that I get to work with in CRAVE, they're ready to step out of being so head based. They already know it's not working for their whole life to be just about the head. They want to engage their body in their own rejuvenation. And they're like, I don't know anybody else who's who's doing this or won't think this is silly or this isn't sciencey enough for them, you know? Um, so I think that the European psychology model has benefit, and I think that it is indigenous to Europe. And I think that Europe is a small landmass. And I think the globe has huge continents that also have just as valid pre-colonial mental wellness techniques. And it makes sense that the smallest place couldn't give us a model for the entire rest of the world that was going to fit perfectly. And I think when we look at what the rest of the world historically, globally, and currently has known to do, even in the face of massive trauma, but also like as thriving care before harm, because the Western European model says you got to get hurt first. And the other models are like, no, this is a way of life. It's called mental wellness. We're not going to wait until we're, you know, in terrible trauma to care for each other. I think within global models, we see that healers get to be seen as people that get to receive care, not because they're struggling, but because they're valuable, because they exist as humans. So just like we give care to kids, whether they're behaving well or not, healthcare workers don't have to behave perfectly to be worthy of care, because community sees them as community, not as, oh, genius individual who we don't have any wisdom in comparison with. Because that's a burden. And so, yeah, I don't think the current model teaches us how to care for ourselves. And it definitely doesn't teach anybody how to care for us. It puts all that responsibility on us. Like we burn out. And then not only do we not know how to care for ourselves, but people are like, what do you mean that therapist is, dealing with, I mean, I know therapists who deal with like addiction, who deal with suicidal ideation, who deal with all sorts of things. And when they are trying to tell their loved ones, everyone's like, but how? And I'm like, because they're humans. And they're all dried up and exhausted. And we're living in a global pandemic.
Exactly. Oh, I mean, seriously, now more than ever, your services, what you're offering to anyone working in healthcare, anyone who's a caregiver, really. Do you find that with that program with CRAVE that it extends? Is it really mainly for healthcare professionals, or does it extend to those who are doing a lot of caregiving?
I would say it's for folks who do a lot of caregiving, especially a lot of communal laboring. So they're the folks who are just extending themselves. I decided to make sure to specifically speak to my doctors and my surgeons and my healthcare executives first, because I felt like that was the lens that I knew in my professional life.
Yeah.
But before my professional life, just going outside, taking groups outside, not knowing why I was doing it, just feeling like they like it and I like it, so we're doing it. I was doing labor for community at that point. I was doing healing work, even though I wasn't like, I am the guru. I was just like, I need care. You seem like you need care. Want to get care with me? Let's go to the woods. Like, it's exhausting out here. So yeah, anyone who needs to and wants to and values being checked on, checking in, and being cared for is welcome in both of these spaces. So for the general public that's like, I don't take care of, a whole community, that's okay. Because Tribe Thrive is about a group of us who say, we're going to be in community. Yeah. Let's get on Patreon. Let's write about this. Let's talk about this. Let's be honest and vulnerable. Let's be in a private group chat. Let's have monthly check-in on sessions. Our monthly session is actually tomorrow evening. Um,
Okay.
and then CRAVE is for my folks that are like, it is my professional job to take care of folks. It is my everyday life, and I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that they're going to leave the field.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone who works with me is like, I'm through with the, Western medical system. I'm not trying to get everyone to quit their job. But I am trying to get us to the point where our healthcare folks and our healing folks um, actually have lives worth living themselves, actually have enjoyment in their
Yeah.
lives. So my model is to help cultures see the healthcare genius that's already in their own community through the archive, and to help healthcare folks and laborers save their own lives. And I think that the caveat is like, we're not going to do it alone. I'm not going to be like, go do your own work, because we all do have work that
Yeah.
is our personal work. But I'm saying, let's do it together. Let's do it in community. Let's do it without ableism and assuming everyone can just do it all by themselves with their bootstraps. No, let's do it together.
Oh, I love that. Um, and really, the work that you're offering is so inspiring. And it reminds me also of this idea of leaving boxes, burning them if we can, or smashing them, or just evolving out of them. That also is a process. It's not done alone, and just like sense
No.
of community in our lives. But it doesn't have to be that we have a label or some kind of label diagnosis, something to get
Right.
to need and want and benefit from, like being in a community and having a lot of support.
Absolutely. And I think two things. So my best friend is also a therapist and just all around amazing person. And so I'm going to give her credit for saying this. She wrote a poem that's called The Circle, and it's about how in community, these birds,
I love the bird.
in community, um, you get to be the person or persons that go into the middle of the circle, and other people hold the circle for you. And some people are facing inside and they care for you. And some people face outside and they help create boundaries and safety so that folks can't come knocking on your door when you're trying to get care and you don't have to be on the front lines. So in circle communities, we care for each other. We
Mm-hmm.
thrive as a tribe. It's not a two-person system. It's not a three-person. It's everybody, because everyone needs help.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're doing this together right now. Other people are joined in. It's always groups that can support. Within that, we can do conflict resolution. Within that, we can grieve. Within that, we can address, so and so disrespected me. We can address issues. We
Mm-hmm.
can heal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I think the other thing is like, you don't need to be going through to have play. You don't earn pleasure. You don't earn play. So,
That's right.
yes, people deserve support, but they also just deserve to play and to enjoy life without having to suffer and struggle first and then be like, I'm so dry. Someone please help me with juice. We get juice every day if we want to. And so
Mm-hmm.
helping people
Mm-hmm.
know you get to do this. You don't have to wait for vacation.
That's
You don't
right.
have to wait for sabbatical. You don't have to wait for the outside world to tell you you get permission. You get to give yourself permission.
That's
And we get to do that together.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And I love how you started with little Mishara stepping out and playing at a very young age, like just intuitively knowing that this was going to be good, that it was going to be rejuvenative or it would help shift something. And now you're bringing it to lots of different populations. And I was just, what was going through my body really as you were talking is um, how, like the import, like I've been recently reminded, I get reminded a lot, but recently it's come up also just that in our biology, in our nervous systems, that when we are the times where we really get to integrate, it's when we are resting, when we can really digest, when we can play, and when we can experience pleasure. There's probably others, but those four have been coming to me about that is the way of creating expansion in our bodies so that we can face life and not be burnt
Exactly.
out by it.
Exactly. It's for me, it's leisure rec, it's leisure recreation, and it's in honoring um, the ways that our families, our cultures, our neighborhoods have been doing that. And that if we're going to say we care about mental health and we're going to say we care about safe spaces, then we need to honor that someone's checkered game with their grandkids or with their someone's bowling team, that is a safe space, and that is group care, and that is mental wellness. And if you see people standing on the corner and they're all laughing and joking, instead of saying, oh, they're this is an old southern expression, they're shiftless, they a bunch of hooligans, and they're unemployed, as if not having a job is the worst thing. But it doesn't even mean that. It means they're standing on the corner laughing, they're shooting dice, and you know what? They're allowed to. They're allowed to have pleasure and play. We are allowed, um, especially to disrupt notions of classism, which is, you know, people with more access get to have pleasure houses and retreat houses and summer homes and homes on the lake. Why is it that we look at Black, Brown, and Indigenous people and say, what do you mean you want to take a nap? You're just leising about. And I'm like, yes, liege. Liege
Yes.
as a verb. Please, loiter, play.
Yes.
We get to do it. If other people get to do it, we absolutely get to do it.
That's
And we've been doing it anyway. So I like to champion, like, we've been taking care of our nervous systems this whole time, and I'm going to celebrate it. So in the archive, we just celebrate what we've been doing. It's nothing new. It just got a fancy name called adventure therapy, but it's like, we've been doing it the whole time. Our ancestors were mental health geniuses.
yes. But it's the remembering of that, right? To help
Yeah,
people remember that they know how to
absolutely.
do this.
Absolutely. And even though the archive centers the genius of the groups that I have lived identity with, and so I try not to speak on things that I personally have not lived in my experience. So it doesn't focus on like European tribes, even though there are awesome European tribes. But the point is, look at your own. Because everyone who wants to be a part of the archive or wants to, follow along, they're not going to have my same lived experience, but they've got some lived experience with play, and their people do. And their people before their people do. Like somewhere in their ancestry, people knew how to play.
That's right.
And the healthcare execs, that group is folks of all backgrounds because, again, everybody is indigenous to somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody deserves to have all cylinders firing in their mind as they're showing up in the world. And I don't think people can do it if they don't recognize that pleasure is fuel, not a reward. That
Mm-hmm.
came from Rashida Khan Bay Miller. I didn't come up with that phrase. That is an amazing Black femme who said, pleasure is fuel, not a reward. And yes, she said it. And I've been living it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. That really landed. Um, I see we have two other, we have Dr. Madeline, Cosmos that were both on they've both been on these lives. So it's so good to be kind of growing like a little community of our own of just like people who are stepping out of boxes, doing different work, bringing their medicine in a different way, and like helping people remember. A lot of it is like remembering.
It is remembering. It is. And
Mhm.
it's not that. I crack up because in my personal life, I don't have a strong memory for a lot of things in my personal life. So people are like, "How are you?" You know, I'm like, I'm a play historian. And they're like, but what did I just say 20 minutes ago, Mishara? I don't know. Um, but I think that what it is my body, just like our bodies knew and have known to keep getting together, keep having a good time, keep getting in this circle, keep having fun, keep having these cookouts and playing this music. My body knows that pleasure is a good thing and it doesn't have to be earned. And my body knows that the outside just feels good to me. And I know I just feel good in groups, whether it's online because of COVID or it's in person, in small group. And so just helping people remember their body knows. I don't have to give them the key. They don't have to, it doesn't have to work for everybody else. Whatever their body knows about them is expertise. It's good enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's accessible, affordable, sustainable healthcare right there.
There you go.
That's something you don't have to call your insurance company and ask, is this covered?
No.
Good grief. It's sustainable, accessible, and affordable.
Yeah.
And it includes, it's a method that we can then share with our moms and dads, share with our cousins, share with our neighbors, because it doesn't depend on who has access to money for therapy, who has access to good health insurance, how many sessions can you get before they cut you off and say you're no longer approved. Like, it doesn't rely on these systems because it's already in our bodies. It's what our bodies already want to do.
Right.
And so burning the box to me is saying, what is, what box? Like, what is the thing you're living in? What does your body say? How about you pay attention to that box, that thing that's keeping you holding all your organs together? How about we listen to that? How about we help that feel safe and regulated? And then how about we see that when we do that, our bodies don't keep us in a box. Our bodies say, expand, play, dance, shake a tail feather.
Yeah.
Eat that delicious food if you want to. Season it, dang it.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Enjoy it.
And relax while you eat. Don't worry.
Exactly. Exactly. Why are you checking your schedule? No. It's like that's your anxiety, like, when's my next meeting? But your body's like, food and a nap. Let's go with the body and let's create a structure of life that makes it so that doesn't feel dangerous. Like, oh, I'm gonna miss my clients and then I'm gonna have a bad reputation and then I'm gonna lose money. Let's structure a life where we're not at the mercy of these systems that do not feel good. I'm not saying like time is a terrible thing or your calendar is a terrible thing. I'm asking, do you feel good? Do you feel good in it? And if the answer is no, let's do something different.
Right.
And it doesn't mean everything's going to come crashing down or collapse. Surely there's more than one way to be. Surely there's more than one way to play. Let's get creative and curious.
Yes. Creative and curious. That's just a good what do I want to say? Like that's just a good lens, I think, to like to go through life with. Let's be creative and curious about everything. As we
and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's like recently I tried like some chocolate lemon cinnamon thing. It was gross. Like I was curious and I was creative, and I was like, this isn't good. Okay, but there was no danger. So we're being playful with food now, and like it's not a scary thing. Trying new things doesn't have to be scary.
Yeah. And doing new things, right? And like just doing things in a different way. And really, so many of us just naturally in life have these warning bells that go off, or like these things that we won't do, we won't try. Oh no, that's scary, that's dangerous. So I love this, to play, creative and curious, explore what feels good in your body, try a new food, and if you don't like it, it's all right. No.
And that's adventure therapy. Like when I was an adventure therapist in my previous city,
Hmm.
I often people would be like, how do you do adventure therapy when you're in the middle of like a concrete jungle? And I was like, well, first of all, we're going to work with what people have access to. We
Yeah.
don't have to be in a forest to do
Hmm.
adventure therapy. So a
Hmm.
lot of what we did was with food. Have you ever tried sushi? No. Are you terrified of octopus? Are you terrified of trying a new experience? Let's slowly, if you desire it, only if you desire it,
Yeah.
let's try it. Adventure therapy is anything out of your comfort zone that is still safe and supported. It doesn't have to be you have access to fancy camping equipment and, you know, a membership to a health club or no, no. We're making this
Diving out of
accessible,
planes or,
sustainable.
or
Right. We're making it accessible, sustainable, and affordable. Or what's the point? Otherwise, it just becomes elitist.
oh, yeah. 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 The colonial and all this, it's just like reclaiming what we have known, what our people have known, what's been known for a
Exactly.
long time.
Exactly. Old stuff.
Old thing.
Old
Yeah.
stuff.
All the remembering. Well, once again, I've let this go way over time.
Oh my
I've
God.
been so enjoying talking to you. I just, now I'm like, maybe I don't need to put an end to, maybe I need to be more, not put that in a box too, like these IG lives have to be 30 minutes.
It's whatever you want. I
So
feel
much
like
to talk.
fortunately tech is your the live tech is your baby, so you'll know how to do it. But I feel like, we'll save it. People will come in, they'll listen as they want, they'll come
Yeah.
and go. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Oh,
Yeah, if people want to connect with me
yes.
to apply for CRAVE, they can just send
Yes.
me a DM. I am Mishara D. Winston.
Hmm.
Mishara is spelled Mishara, D, the letter D,
Hmm.
Winston. You can sound that one out. That's pretty easy. Mishara D. Winston at Instagram. They can ask
Hmm.
about Crave if they want to check out Tribe Thrive. It's
Hmm.
patreon.com/Mishara D. Winston.
Hmm.
Everything is available. So I hope folks know that there are people like you and like me who are willing to think differently
Yes.
and want to do that with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing, you had mentioned that one of your offerings is starting very soon, like in early March.
Yeah, so Crave, the next cohort, the spring cohort of Crave starts on March the 7th. It
Okay.
is a 3-month cohort, but it is every other week because we like ease around here. We like
Hmm.
leisure
Yeah.
and rec. So it's not every week, you got to hit it every 7 days. No, the homework is easy. There's no text that you got to, seek your mind into the written. No, where it's a follow your own adventure, body based pleasure and play, good time. It
Hmm.
starts March 7th. It is small group, so it's like 12 to 15 people max.
Hmm.
Um, and it's good.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I definitely would love DMs about that. Love to get
Hmm.
people signed up for the spring quarter.
Okay. I will be sharing it as well to people who just a little like, hey, maybe this could be
So
useful
that's
to you.
fun. Yeah, I think if people are like, oh, you think I'm so you're saying I'm burnt out, I'm not on my stuff, are you? But it's like you're really saying, do you want to have a good time? Because I think you deserve to have a good time. Who doesn't deserve to get? I'm gonna be there. Like I want to have a good time. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, it's more
inviting
about
people to
that.
have something good and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is fun, this is community, this is play, this is going to make everything else flow a little easier. And who
And
doesn't
what
need
is
more
what
ease?
we've been through? Yes, like with the pandemic, do people not deserve play? Like, if ever there was a time.
Oh, Mishra, I could talk to you for a very long time. I'm so grateful that you agreed to this, and you agreed to this is something new for you. You agreed to like,
Yeah.
you have
I've
that
only been on live like I
curiosity.
think twice because I was like, I don't know how to do the live thing. Here I am, curious and willing to try.
Oh, so good. I'm enjoying this so much, and I'm going, yeah, we'll post it. I'll share it with you, and yeah,
Okay.
we'll get the word out about your programs and
Yeah.
more
Helping
people
folks follow their
playing.
cravings.
Yeah,
Yes. Like
yeah,
listening to your body, following your cravings. It's okay to crave. Let's crave together and do something about it. So fulfilling those cravings.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And again, how you're taking the initial intuition of the little Mishara, little 5-year-old who knew go out, like just basics, like get out.
All these barrettes, my beads in my braids, like, this won't work for me. My nervous system says no. I'll be engaged in adventure therapy moving forward. Like,
I
oh,
figured
no.
out how to get out of this box, get into the green, and I'll be leading others to do the same. Thank you.
It all began with creek stopping. Now look at me, like at my age, it's still like, hey, y'all want to go creek stopping? It's a good time. Let's do it.
Well, thank you so much. I will also love to do some adventuring with you at some point.
I
I'll
would
be
like that
tuned in
too.
to your
Okay,
offerings and yeah.
good, good. I like that.
Aw.
Thanks so much. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank
I'll be
you.
posting like more invites to Crave, and as the archive has been coming together beautifully, it doesn't have a ton released yet because there's stuff I'm editing on the back end, but
Okay.
people, they're like, I want to support it. I want to read the things that you've written. I want to follow along with this journey. I want to make sure so you're not doing this yourself, Michelle. It's like we're
Mhm.
doing it together.
Yeah.
That is all sitting there on Patreon. And it really supports and encourages me as people
Mhm.
say, this interests me. I want to do this with you.
Mhm.
Because everybody, including me, needs to be able to gather with others and to know we're not alone in the world. So
Yes.
thanks for doing this with me. This blessed me too.
Thank you. So we'll end for now. Bye for now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
And you know I don't know how to leave this thing, so you're gonna have to
Okay.
tell me